And welcome back to the Arizona Cardinals franchise rebuild. Here today we have year 16 action. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I hope you're all having a great day. Please leave a like, comment down below what you thought of today's action, and don't forget to subscribe. This 20-year rebuild, we have seen a lot of regular season success. We have seen ourselves make it into the postseason and fall flat on our faces one too many times. And, you know, when you strictly look, I'll try to find us real quick. Nick King right here, this is our head coach. He has over 140 wins, 115 losses. He's had 9 winning seasons. So if we have 2 more winning seasons, we would have over half the time in this rebuild us being contenders every year, or almost half the season, or half this rebuild. But as we see, we're 6-9, nice, in the postseason, which is not nice at the end of the day. We have not been able to get to an NFC championship game. We have not, well, we have been, we have yet to get to a Super Bowl, and it is definitely depressing when you sit back and think about that. Want to quickly go through our career stats with a lot of these guys, as we see Will Brittley here putting on a show as drafted first overall, going to be 9 years ago at the end of this season, a true 99 overall. We have the best quarterback in the league, and thankfully we signed him during a time where he really wasn't. This year is his biggest contract, or in terms of dollars, which is $43 million, which is not that much money, guys. I've seen quarterbacks in this franchise being paid $70 to $80 million. And then it drops down to 24, 27 over the next 2 seasons. So we know we have a franchise quarterback here. Can Will Brittley can he get us over the hump, and can we surround him with enough talent to do so? You know, we're turning to now 3rd year back Darren Laws to be our top runner. Bring him here, could be a potential trade candidate. We brought him in as a power back, and he's produced solidly, but he's starting to regress as he gets older. He could absolutely be a trade candidate today. In terms of receiving, Wade Rayfield has over 13,000 receiving yards. He's been a 4th receiver for us, but he's been our best guy that we've developed, even over Marvin Harrison Jr. Bobby Summers here. Have to make a decision on him in terms of contract in today's action, but 5,000 receiving yards, 50 touchdowns, a solid career. Mitch Ford, Cameron Hayden here, 2 young receivers that we've drafted as well, and they're looking to become the next Wade for us. So far, we see Rashad Kitchens, 1,400 yards and 10 touchdowns in 11 seasons. In terms of sacks allowed, Cameron Wall has allowed the most. And then Daniel Huff, our 2 top-end offensive linemen that I've drafted. But we see a guy like a 12th-year veteran in Chase Green, only allowing 33 sacks in his career. And he's 33 years old, needing a new contract as well. Then we flip it over to the defense. Elijah Fletcher, with 158 sacks in his career, a true 85 overall. He's been a beast for our defense throughout his entire career. I traded for him, I believe, in the middle of the season, maybe in the off season, and he goes on to have a 10+ sacks. Then he starts to slow down. I got a little concerned, but then he just became consistent, in my opinion. I know he's had 2 years where he didn't have 10 sacks, but those seasons he was still an excellent run stopper. He's still such a great player. Another guy that we have to make a decision on in terms of contracts. Leads the way also in TFL. Coolest Mims here, being our new veteran leader of our defense. Well, not really new. He's kind of become that role. He's 2nd on the team in TFLs with 42, 8.5 sacks in his career. Sack-wise, we see we have the big-time veteran, and then no one else. Thurman has officially retired, so who is going to be the next guy? You know, I traded for Colbert this a couple years ago. He has 13 and a half sacks. He's starting to produce a little bit. And then Brian Daisley here, I drafted him a few years ago in the first round, only 4 sacks. He's now one of our defensive tackles. So we need to find one of these young guys has to start to produce. Tremaine Weston, one of the best safeties that in the league for a long time, top 10 still, playing fantastic football for our defense. And then Deion Fitzpatrick has 11 INTs. We don't really, it's the same thing in terms of sacks. We have our 2 big veterans, and then after that, not so much. Let's look around the league. Around the league, CJ Stroud leads all quarterbacks in terms of passing yards. We see 2 guys who were part of the original franchise still playing. So they're up there. Then we see Anthony Collins, the guy that I was referring to, making $80 million. But we see a lot of the top end quarterbacks here that, you know, we've seen throughout this franchise. Maybe I haven't highlighted them the best. Anthony Collins leads all quarterbacks in touchdowns. And I don't think that our quarterback just yet is up here. Actually, he is. No. Will Britley right here. He will hit 300 passing touchdowns. Can he get to 500 by the end of this franchise? Who knows? INTs, in terms of rushing yards, we see that Henry Harris here. He was on our team for a long time, or for a handful of seasons. He's number 3. But no one over 10,000 yards. Wade Rayfield leads all active receivers in terms of yardage. And he's second in terms of touchdowns. Looks like 5th in catches, so not so bad. In terms of sacks, we see Elijah Fletcher is the active leader in terms of sacks and INTs. Goes to Dale here. I don't really know who he is, but Tremaine Weston with 24, he's up there. So year 16, we are coming off another season where we're the number 1 seed, then one and done. What do we do this off season to reload and to get us back on track? Well, in my opinion, at least, we have 4 really important free agents: Bobby Summers, Chase Green, Elijah Fletcher, and Tremaine Weston. All these guys I want to keep, but where we could potentially save money is not keep Chase Green, go with a kid in Deontay Johnson here, an offensive lineman I drafted a season ago. We could go with him over Green, but that would again put more pressure on Will Britley and this ground game that did not play particularly great. And I think for Fletcher and Weston, these are 2 players that we can't really just flat out replace. We don't really have guys. Corner is a room where we could look to make a trade if we wanted to trade away like a guy like a Cole Timmons. Drafted him in the first round. He's playing on the 5th-year option this season. And he's a good corner and everything, but in his career, only 2 interceptions. Is he really worth keeping around for a season? He could be another trade candidate. Our backup quarterback, Cole Green, will definitely be traded today. He's a top 24 quarterback, best backup quarterback. Gonna give him a legitimate chance to start and see what he can do. Some big decisions to be made, some not so big. Let's try to reload. We have $54 million. We have to re-sign some players. Let's see what we can do. Well, with $54 million, you know, we have Bobby Summers here who wants to be here. And this would be a very easy extension. Not a lot of money either. I will give him this 3-year contract. I think he will be a very good tight end for us for the remaining few years. For Tremaine here, I want to work back with him. Chase Green wants a 1-year 11. I want to get Fletcher out of the way as well. I would prefer for it to be not this expensive to keep him, but a 2-year deal for him. And then for Tremaine Weston, he is, in my opinion, a player that we can't really replace. And he denies us. We have 24. This would leave us with nothing. if we wanted to keep Tremaine Weston. Colbert here, we'll give him this 5th-year option. I want to see what these 2 young defensive linemen have for us. So I'm going to pick up both of their 5th-year options. They both could be traded if they don't play well in this up-and-coming episode, but yeah. For Chase Green, a 1-year, $11 million. We could look to try to extend him, and he also denies us. His tag would be 24, so we can only really keep one of them. For Jared Good, we're gonna let him go. He's the 6'9" tight end. For Wade Rayfield, I do want to keep him. There is some depth down the board here that I do want to kind of keep around. So, Rashad Kitchens, I've been trying to keep him for a while. Keep him. For Wade, he wants a 1-year, $3 million. Again, these are guys that are solid depth players and solid rotational guys. For Dalton here, I am going to let him go. And we are going to be tagging Tremaine Weston, putting it over us over the cap by close to $6 million. But I think with a couple trades that I'm looking to make, we'll get back to above the salary and actually able to make some moves. And actually, excuse me, we have $3 million to work with. So I don't have to, we're not going to be going after anyone. I will like to see what Chase Green goes. Maybe he would be the only one that I would consider trying to go after. But trying to keep the band together, trying to get this team over the hump. It's up to, again, the draft to do so. But I'm going to look to trade for some future capital. And we're sending Cole Green to the Denver Broncos for a 1st-round pick next year. I didn't want to get a selection this up-and-coming season. Not with Cole. I knew I could get a 1st-round pick. And I think this is a very fair trade. Denver needed desperately a quarterback, and they just got themselves a solid starter. And I'm going to make one other trade. We're going to trade away Brigham here and Waters, a defensive tackle, for Cincinnati's next 2 3rd-round picks. So we will pick up an extra 3rd this year. I don't think that this is a super strong draft, but I do think we can find some late-round talent. And I think those are the only 2 trades I'm going to make right now. Cole Timmons, I'm going to look to keep for the time being. I am going to be making a very small contract offer here to Chase Green. I doubt that he will sign with us, but I'm going to throw that out there. Let's get to the draft, and let's make some more moves. Free agency recap here. Chase Green has yet to sign with anyone, including us. We also see a top center out here, and Greg Compton here, who is the 2nd best center in the league. That's yet to sign. I have no idea what's happening. No one wants him, apparently. But around the league, we see a few top-end players going in around. Let's see if there's anyone that I recognize. As of right now, not really. No one from at least our team that so far that I see. There might be 1 or 2 that I've missed, but yeah, guys, I don't think that there's anyone. Let's see in terms of age. I mean, here's Seth Bennett going back to Tampa Bay. He was on our team for a few seasons. Kennedy here was one of our safeties that I drafted. He's going to the Chiefs. And after that, I don't really see too many other names. Yeah, there might be of course, there's always signings in around the league, but let's get to the draft. We'll see if we can re-sign Chase Green. I'm not too worried about it, as we have the 28th pick. We have basically our starters all set. That's the reason I wasn't panicking when free agency hit. But when you look at the current state of the team, we have our 2 backs, we have our 3 receivers, and plenty more down the board here. We have our starting 5 linemen. We could look to add some quality depth if we so choose. Tight end wise, we're set. Defensively, could look for another defensive tackle. if we really wanted to, but I think we're in a very good spot starters-wise. This is a draft class where I think in the first round we're trying to add somewhere that needs an injection of youth, where I think you sit back and think about it. Maybe this defensive line, you could potentially say safety, linebacker. This might become just more of a position of the best player on the board. I don't think receiver is. You know, we have a second-year young hidden dev receiver who's star development, and Deshaun Bryant here, 6'6", can do a lot. So I don't think that we're forcing our hand in terms of drafting a receiver. Tight end is not something I'm thinking about either. I don't know what direction we'll go in the first, but probably something on the defense. I'm gonna go with Sean Kidd here. I could go with the defensive lineman. I could go with a linebacker right now. But I'm gonna go safety. Tremaine Weston is not gonna get any younger. We need to make sure we have a future guy, because whenever he decides to retire, we will have a massive hole at safety. So Kidd here is not a great selection, but he has hidden development, 88 speed to go alongside it. As long as he's in, 70, I would be happy, but the hidden development definitely kind of makes up for it. And because I have a first to a second round grade on Josh Wilkins here, I'm going to select him. He's a pass rusher, also plays the position of Elijah Fletcher, ranked 30th in the class. We got him at 60. Hidden development with 90 speed. Again, adding to the pass rush that is slowly getting younger, but we need to start hitting on some of these. Some of these early picks have to be able to work out. Here with our first third round pick, Lawrence Stingley here, defensive tackle. You'll be selected here. Ranked 62, got him at 90. 90 strength, he is a big body defensive tackle. With our other third round pick, Mason Cody, a center. Just trying to get some quality depth there. We get a little cut screen. Ranked 39th, got him at 92. Also hidden development. So far, we've been hitting on dev traits, and we're trying just to add quality depth to the team. We're gonna take a running back here, and Danny Chamberlain here in the fourth, just trying to add some depth to our running back room. And 88 speed, normal dev. Hopefully, can be a solid rotational back for us. Here in the fifth, we're gonna take Mark Andrews, hopefully to be our developmental backup quarterback. We got a little cut screen for him. Got him at ranked 194, got him at 156. 92 throw power, solid in terms of moving in the pocket, but normal dev, back-to-back normal dev players. Spencer Spearman here, an offensive lineman, a right guard. We will be drafting him. And another normal dev player, but we got him at a good spot, 126 ranked, got him at 188. That's not too bad. Currently don't have a pullback, so Brian Osborne here will be the selection. Here in the seventh, getting another cut screen, ranked 58th. Will probably be my last fullback, and he has hidden developments. Love to see myself. That's one thing about this franchise that I love, is drafting all these fullbacks. Maybe that's something I should do, is just draft more fullbacks in like my Giants franchise or something. But overall, I do think that we did what we set out to do. And the overall wise is very good to start off with one guy in the 60s. We see Sean Kidd here, our first round pick, 73 overall. And yeah, to start out with, these are good ratings to do so. Not too bad. He'll have, who knows how many years he will sit back, but we have 5 years of team control, so that's not bad. And then we come here in the second, getting a 75 overall in Josh Wilkins here, who could play anywhere across the defensive line, in my opinion. Just don't ask him to do finesse moves, but across the board, he looks to be a solid player on our defensive line. Lawrence here, 73. Hidden dev as well. And, you know, he's a big, strong man that can tackle and stop the run. And that's what we always need. And then second round, Mason Cody, 74 overall, also hidden development. And, you know, some of these guys, I just liked, you know, the strength ratings or the awareness. And that's sometimes what I kind of base it off of to help you guys out a little bit. Danny Chamberlain here, our power back, 71 overall. He's our first normal dev player, but to start off with, pretty solid. He can catch the football a little bit too. So that's nice to see. And then we drafted our first and our only 60 overall player, and that's Martin Andrews here. And the awareness rating isn't the best, but he's a scrambler archetype, and he'll be a solid backup. You know, Cole Green didn't really play much of any football for us, so not expecting too much here. Spencer Sherman, 70 overall, will be a solid depth lineman. Can run block, he is strong, he's a good lead blocker. Like to see that. And then with our final pick, we of course drafted Brian Osborne here, a fullback, hidden development. And he looks to be solid, you know, from a fullback perspective, absolutely. Yeah, this draft class for me was mostly just trying to, again, add quality depth, trying to develop as best as we possibly can. In terms of this class, we see 180 in Tony here, a pass rusher going to the Niners. Here in the second round, we could have drafted a 77 overall running back, but not a position of need. When you sit back and look at who went after Kidd, you know, we see a defensive tackle, we see some linebackers, some offensive linemen. You know, none of these guys stand out to me that I would have taken over him. In terms of the beginning of the second, again, I'm not, you know, sure, Derek Averill, a guard we could have drafted, but we didn't need, you know, we had no starters that needed to be filled. So I think we went in the right direction. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. So as we're getting it ready for year 16 of this 20-year rebuild, here is the roster. We still have Will Britley at quarterback. We still have Laws, Mitch Ford, Cameron Hayden, Bobby Summers. We have still two of the better offensive linemen in the league. We're starting to get a bit younger with these guys that we have. We're going to go with Deshaun Bryant to start the year over Wade. I know Wade is the veteran leader of this receiving room, but I think that this just makes a little bit more sense. Defensively, you know, we've drafted a couple young defensive linemen to help us out. You know, a young safety that's young working, but we're rolling out basically the same team, maybe one different starter at defensive tackle and a different starter at right guard. So we'll see if this offensive line takes a hit. Same with the run stopping, but I am very confident in this team. I think that we can make a Super Bowl run here. So overall, we start off the season 1-0. That's nice to see. We got now the Rams here. Can we beat them? And we do, starting off the season 2-0. Important week here versus the Seahawks now. And we beat them. As we get to see signings, we got the Falcons here. If you've been enjoying the franchise, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. And if you've been enjoying things so far, please let me know. Also, if you have any suggestions, let me know down below about how to improve the franchise. So far, I've been very much enjoying this style, and I've been enjoying doing these episodes, and I hope you guys are too. 5-0 to start off. We have the New York Giants up and coming, but we have Laws here looks to probably have a breakout opportunity, which would be nice for us. Nick Gang talking to his star back, hopefully. We're gonna need you to do that again. So actually, as for Brandon Meredith here, I guess he's been scoring a lot more touchdowns. I don't know, but trying to go up to superstar. But we're currently 5-0, looking to go to 6-0. And we'll see if we can get a victory here. We do, which is the most important. Currently 6-0, and we're staying in New York here. Let's see if Meredith got the development trait, and Brandon Meredith did. He get to star development. Or no, he stays at star dev, excuse me. Makes sense, he is our number 2. I thought that was gonna be for laws, but that's okay. Currently, we have 11 players needing new contracts, $37 million. Nicholas McLean here, our free safety, who is developing very nicely, already a top 10 guy. He is another important key player for this defense here. Slow start to the season, but we only have just under $30 million or $40 million. Cole Timmons, he needs a new contract. Jeremy Jones needs a new deal. We see a lot of starters and important players, role guys across the board. And with only $37 million, you know, this is going to be tough. Let's keep moving on here. Let's get to the bye week. As we have made it to the bye week here, we're 7-1, just coming off of our first loss. This is from Seattle, but we're 7-1, the number 1 seed. Chicago's our closest team that will be competing with us, unless if we go on a massive losing streak. We see we have a weekly award, and that is for Will Britley, rushing in a couple touchdowns. Did not expect to see that. But 7-1 here. How have we got to this point? Well, Will Britley has been throwing a couple touchdowns each week. Not that many turnovers. We've been running the ball pretty well. We see Meredith has scored 5 times. Probably kind of hit that or triggered that development opportunity. Darren Laws here, 3.6 yards a carry. Not in love with that, but doing the best he can. Cameron Hayden here, off to a great start to this campaign. 500 receiving yards and 9 scores. Mitch Ford has scored 1, same with Bobby Summers. These guys are supporting. We see Brian here playing pretty well. Wade has also scored again. Nice to see that. Offensive line is playing, in my opinion, pretty good across the board. Nicholas Mims and Jeremy Jones combining with a lot of good tackles here for us. Brian Daly here, 10 TFLs, drafted him in the first round. We see Colbert has 7. Fletcher leads us with 5.5 sacks. Colbert here with 3.5. Nice to see that. And a couple guys with 1s. Deion Fitzpatrick, I think, leads the league in interceptions with 4. So far, not too bad for us. The question is, do I want to make a trade? Simply put, is there any reason to make a trade? Is there any reason to try to negotiate with these players right now? You know, we're 7-1. So I think the first player that kind of comes to my mind is, do we want to let Cole Timmons walk in free agency, or do we want to try to pick up another selection? He's not a player that I'm going to look to re-sign, but a 25, 26-year-old safety or corner could be a pretty big value for another team. Or we keep him on the roster and say to ourselves, we have 2 first-round picks. We don't need to kind of force our hand here. You know, Nicholas here is an important starter to consider keeping. When you throw on Jeremy Jones, wants a 3-year, $42 million a year, but I'll let regression do its thing, and maybe that will bring the contract down. Starks here is a starting tackle and wanting only $3 million. This might be a very easy decision for me. Andrew Langford here, same draft class and everything, does not want to be here, 164, but he's, you know, 4 points higher. Jermaine Weston, he wants close to $20 million a year. So I think now taking a step back and re-looking at this, I think Nicholas is the key player in this up-and-coming free agency. The rest of these guys, I'm not going to trade anyone. But for the rest of these guys, we'll see what regression hits. We'll see if any contract demands go higher. I would say Starks might be the second. Okay. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna re-sign Nicholas, but we're gonna give him a 5-year deal. Gonna keep him until he's in his early 30s. And then with Starks, he wants $3 million a season. He's a starter. I'm gonna give him a 5-year deal. Keep him around. He'll be our starting tackle. I think after that, we're gonna let regression hit. We have only $24 million, so I'm not going to force I'm not going to do anything else. I'm going to sim ahead, maybe to like week 13, 14. So yeah, I'll see you guys there. As I've made it to week 14 here, we're currently 9-3, just coming off a loss to the New Orleans Saints, and we're currently the 2nd seed. It looks to me like we'll probably be the number 2 seed in this up-and-coming season as the Bears just kind of popped off. Currently 11-1, and you know, 9-3 is a very respectful season. I think we will continue to win games. Will Britley, 2nd in the league in touchdown passes with 27, and he does not make that many mistakes. In terms of running, playing pretty well. Laws with 600 yards, kind of on pace for 1,000. Cameron Hayden here, 960 yards, 17 scores, producing massively for us. We see Mitch Ford kind of taking a step back as Bryant kind of becoming our number 3 receiver. Bobby Summers playing pretty well. Laws is adding a good amount of value through the air. Andrew Langford with 6 sacks allowed, and so far not too bad in terms of sacks allowed. I think our line is playing pretty good. In terms of stopping the run, Brian here has been playing pretty well for us. And from a defensive tackle perspective, 14 TFLs is nice to see. Sack-wise, Colbert leads the way with 8, as we see Eliza Fletcher only having 5.5. That's kind of surprising to see. These are our pass rush, as everything else is kind of 1.5, and that's it, or a half a sack. 4 interceptions that goes to Deion Fitzpatrick, but after that, you know, we're winning, thankfully, but individual stats are pretty interesting. 9-3. Let's get to right around week 18. As we've made it to week 18 here, we're currently 12-4. And you know, we have a good, we're a very good team across the board. And we're the number 2 seed. It looks like we've won the division. We've clinched the division. We have not clinched the playoff spot. I guess Tampa or Dallas could technically become the number 2 seed, but Chicago walked away with this conference. Nice for them, I guess. And you know, we've seen 12-5 or, you know, yeah, 12-5 seasons for us become the number 1 seed. The Bears are kind of, you know, producing very well, but 12-4, can we beat the Raiders and be the number 2 seed entering into the playoffs? That would be a nice prize for us, I guess. And we did beat them. We are the number 2 seed, having a 13-4 campaign. Fantastic season for us. And this is the playoff picture. We'll play against the number 7 seed in the Minnesota Vikings. We see the Bucks and the Saints made it in. Dallas and the Niners. The Bears are the number 1 seed. Cincinnati is the number 1 seed in the AFC with the Dolphins playing against the Ravens. The Titans playing the Steelers. And the Chargers playing the Jags. So we shall see who will make it to the Super Bowl. Can we go on a run and get some victories behind us? I mean, we were able to do so again in the regular season, and we only put up 3 points here in the postseason. Defensively, we allowed less than 20, but our offense just did not show up today. Will Britley got sacked 5 times, less than 200 yards passing. This is not at all what I expected. I think Thad Phillips was on our team for a while. He scores over us. You know, this is not what you want to see. We see Starks, who we extend, allowed 3 sacks. Our 2 best offensive linemen allowed a sack each. Defensively, it was a defensive battle, and our defense did their best. I wonder if, well, one of our defensive linemen, Jalen Mullins here, got an INT. I wonder if there's any defensive touchdowns. There wasn't. So this was just a, you know, an old school football game here in 2040. But that's not what you want to see. Finishing this season, Will Britley has through 38 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Just didn't do anything in the postseason. Laws with a less than 1,000-yard campaign. This ground game did not do much. Not liking that. Cameron Hayden was our passing game. Surprised to see that. This is such a weird season. You know, we have probably Cameron Hayden here probably leads the league in touchdown receptions, but just didn't do anything in the postseason. Yeah, he caught 23. I mean, Chris Kraft here caught 22. Don't know where this guy has shown up, but he's a Raven right now, and he produced massively for them. I just don't know what happened to us. You know, we were able to get the victories. Just stat-wise, nothing is really adding up. The offensive line probably played their best season I've seen. It's so interesting. You know, Deshaun Colbert here proves that he's our future at pass rusher. 14 sacks. Love to see that. Elijah Fletcher finishes with 6.5. You wonder if he retires. Brian Daly here, 5.5 sacks with 16 TFLs. So our pass rush, the 3 guys that I sit here and I think about in terms of our defensive line, did play pretty well. I mean, when you think about it, these 2 combined for 12 sacks, and you throw Colbert's in, that's nice. You know, it's just, what else can we really do? 5 interceptions here for Fitzpatrick. Yearly awards, MVP goes to Will Britley. Love to see that. We were number 2 in Coach of the Year. Cameron Hayden was rewarded as the Offensive Player of the Year, with Will Britley as number 3. Colbert was number 7 in terms of Defensive Player of the Year. Rookie of the Year, I don't expect anything like that, but we had the best quarterback. We had the best receiver. We had no offensive lineman making it. Defensive lineman, I don't even see, oh, there's Colbert, number 3. I mean, we had an MVP season from our quarterback, and we were the number 2 seed, one and done. Just, it sucks. And here's the Pro Bowl. Will Britley makes it in as a Pro Bowler. Nick Thompson, here's our fullback that I drafted from like the first class. He's a Pro Bowler again. Cameron makes it in. In terms of offensive lineman, Cameron Wall makes it in. We had Pro Bowl lineman. Surprised that Colbert didn't get in. No one for our defensive line. Here's Jones making it in. Fitzpatrick gets in. We had a Pro Bowl team. Branch, who was on our team, no longer. We had the awards, we had the record, and again, we just fall on our face when we make it to the postseason. And this year's Super Bowl champs are the Miami Dolphins here, as they win, I think, their first Super Bowl here. They beat Tampa Bay in the Miami Super Bowl. Yeah, I don't think I've seen the Dolphins. Actually, we have. They won it a couple years ago, I guess. I see Pat here being the MVP. I thought we saw Will Britley as the MVP. I don't know. Doesn't matter, because we're just bad. We're good, but we're bad for some reason. Don't really understand it. Looking at retirements, though, I think this is Greg Jefferson. who was the big-time tackle in year, I guess, 5, where we could have drafted him, but we didn't have a chance to draft him. He went to Pittsburgh, the pick before us. But he was my favorite tackle, and he would have been an excellent selection. See, J.J. McCarthy retires. A lot of Vikings players just retired. Any other players that stand out? Here comes Anthony Collins, one of the better quarterbacks that has been drafted into the franchise. Same thing here with Elijah Henry here. Justin Gay was one of the best receivers. Nick Thompson, our fullback from I think my first draft for us. 15 years, and what a career for him. I think he was ranked the best fullback for a long time in this franchise. We see Elijah Fletcher, Wade Rayfield, both retire. Wow. So the face of our defense and one of our the best receiver I've drafted both retire in the same offseason. Now, yes, Wade here, we were looking, he was already just he was on the roster just because. For Elijah Fletcher, though, you know, clearly didn't have enough left in the tank, and that stings. He ends his career, I believe, with over 160 sacks. We see Mike Royal, who is off and on with our roster. And let's see if any of these other guys here. Dwayne Wandle here, he was a top running back for a long time in this franchise. James Haynes here was part of the first class. He was a solid quarterback. I think he played for the the Jags. Jamal Taylor here, he was on our team for a couple seasons. He was a good defensive tackle for us. Wow. Daniel Cash, an offensive lineman that I drafted in the later rounds, he just retired. Trevor Reed, a quarterback that I always liked, but it's never really worked out for having him on the roster. So, what do we do in this up and coming, video, for year 17? We see both Wade and Fletcher both retire. I will be able to upgrade some of these guys, which is nice. But what do we do? At the end of the day, we're not going to have a lot of money. We have starters needing to be re-signed. And the team in and of themselves, it's not like they're the best. It's not like they're the worst either. We have a lot of high-end players. We're paying 2 offensive linemen, top dollar. And we're paying 2 top receivers, a quarterback, a tight end. No longer a pass rusher, but, we see... Well, here's one way to replace him. Josh Wankins here, his development trait is superstar. He could potentially become the future pass rusher and be our future edge rusher for the next handful of seasons. It's Colbert coming off a 6.5 or 14 sack season. He's definitely going to become the guy. We see Kidd, who we drafted in the first round, has star development. So, not too bad. A couple star guys that we've drafted. So we'll see. Overall wise, I think when you look at this team, and I'm thinking of just the future free agents as well. I mean, tackle would be one of them, with Andrew Langford probably leaving. Do we think that, Spearman or Cody could be a replacement at tackle? Maybe. I would have to look at them and see if it makes a little bit of sense, but tackle becomes a need. Defensive line, in my opinion, doesn't become a need with, the drafting Jalen here. I don't think corner is a need. Strong safety might become a need, but in reality, not really. We just drafted Kidd. Linebacker could be another spot. Let's take a quick sneak peek at the up-and-coming re-signing players, where we have $26 million. I don't know if I believe the cap has shifted already, or has adjusted itself. We see regression has hit, but probably Cole Timmons will let hit free agency. Jeremy Jones, this is kind of a 50-50 right now, wanting $14 million. That's almost half our space. Law's 5th-year option, might pick it up. I don't know just yet. Andrew here wants $70 million, not gonna do that. Tremaine Weston, this is a much reasonable deal, a 1-year, $8 million. And then after, so, I mean, I don't know. Do we look to let all these guys go? We can replace Cole pretty easily. We have a lot of depth at corner. Jones would be more difficult, but we have 2 first-round picks. So linebacker could be a pretty quick selection. And don't forget, we have Hunt as well that could start. Laws has the 5th-year option. Tackle could be basically the biggest like need, as we don't have a guy that we could just kind of throw in there, unlike Jones and Cole. So tackle is one of them. Jermaine Weston, we could let test as well, due to the fact that we just drafted a kid in the 1st round. And then, so we have the replacements. Is just, do we want to keep any of these guys? And I would say probably Weston is the only one that I will look to attempt to re-sign. Jeremy Jones, that's going to be kind of an episode type of decision. But I think, thinking about it, Weston here, you know, he'll get an upgrade point. He's 33 years old. His ratings are still solid. Could he shift to linebacker? Could he play that hybrid type of role and play next to Mims as we start Kid? That could be a fun little experiment. Who knows? Let me know down below what you think we should do for year 17, 18, 19, and 20. I hope you guys have been enjoying this 20-year rebuild of the Arizona Cardinals. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Like the video. Let me know down below all your thoughts. Yeah, guys, I've been having a great time with this franchise, and I'll see you in the next one.